regardless if they're coming at you, you know, like demons or devils trying to get what you have, you still have an obligation, I believe, to represent him. So
hey, what's up? This is V Rose from Clear Sight Music. I'm in the field with the TRACKSTARZ.
Yeah, back in the field with the TRACKSTARZ, Ryan Righteous, SEANTANA, DJ Jeremiah. All right, so we got there's a really big issue that is arising. Okay, and this kind of has to do with what we talked about earlier, but like I said, there's people on both sides of this where, you know, we feel like we're supposed to be either your artist or you're a media outlet, and you feel like you're supposed to be reaching the world. Some people are supposed to be reaching other Christians, but some people are called to go out and reach the world.
Yeah.
Now, for the ones that are doing that, there's a lot of critique about how they're doing that. Okay. Now, of course, we got the Reach guys who are saying they're not Christian rappers anymore, and they're just rappers that are Christians, and they're going out and they're saying, you know, the big thing, if you saw, Will Addison's wife just wrote an article basically saying that if you look at Reach Records' website, changed their About Us to change the meaning of what unashamed meant. Yeah. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Wait a minute. So what does it say now?
Unashamed about being yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
That kind of thing. So I think I know why they're doing that. I don't know if I agree with what they're doing, but I think I know why. Here's the problem, though. As people try and navigate into that space, there's going to be some mistakes made. I think they're verging on making a mistake. I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to them to know for sure. But anybody, like for us, we created this show to reach the lost. Like, that was the goal. The name TRACKSTARZ is the full name of our show is The Field TRACKSTARZ. It was always the intention of our show to help pull people out of the world into the church, right? So for people like us who the goal of the ministry is to reach the lost, there's a couple things that come up that are confusing to deal with. How do you deal with? For instance, Andy, however you think about him because of recent events, Andy was on This Is 50, okay? And the person interviewing him said, hey, man, you guys are killing it. How are you guys doing this without This Is 50, without Source Magazine, without BT? You guys created this whole lane without our help. How did you do it? He's basically like, hey, man, with the internet, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, of course, people probably would have wanted him to say the church and, you know, whatever. But anyway, he built the audience, right? Reach Records built an audience without the need of all those big outlets. So the guy was like, man, y'all got this big outlet. Can you mention my name on your outlet? Can you tell your Instagram followers to follow me? And he was like, yeah, I don't know, you know, because you kind of say crazy stuff and I don't want them to see what you're saying. And the guy was like, oh, don't get all Christian on me, Andy. Don't get all Christian on me.
Throwing back last night, huh?
Tweet my stuff out. And he's like, oh, man, I don't know if I can. I may have to do it with a disclaimer because I don't want my fans to see what you're about. But as they continue to go into that arena, that's going to become more and more of a problem because basically what you have to say is no.
Yeah.
And that's rude.
Yeah.
And how are you supposed to say no when you're genuinely building relationships with people and you have to eventually tell them, hey man, you're kind of ratchet. Like I can't show my people your stuff.
And you should be able to do that because you should be able to tactfully tell them, okay, so I have an agenda, right? My agenda is to help young people overcome the stereotypes that are being placed in their society. And I don't want to pretend that that's something that I believe in. So
here's something I noticed from that interview, and this is what we're going to have to deal with. Okay? For the people who agree that we need to be putting the message in the world. Like, if you don't agree with that, then that's a different conversation. For the people who believe that we're supposed to be there, you may not agree with how they're doing it, but we got to be there some kind of way, right? When this stuff happens, you're building these relationships with these people and these artists and everything. You're trying to give them God by like life on life type of, it seems like kind of what they're trying to do. The reason they're impressed with you and the reason you're on their show is because of your numbers and your financial success. That's what they're impressed with. They're not really impressed with your Jesus or whatever, right? Yeah. So the reason they're allowing you to be on their show is because they want your audience. Yeah. Right? However you spin this. What are you supposed to do when that happens? Are you supposed to tell them, hey man, I appreciate you giving me your audience, but you can't have mine? These are real questions. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, because you're talking about a form of morality in a way. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of let people know that you wouldn't want me to go out in your household and start breaking chairs and you know, busting out windows, right? Like, no, I wouldn't want you to come to my house and violate me like that. Okay, so it's the same thing. I can't allow myself to go out there and violate what I believe. That's true. That's what it is. That's the conversation you have to have.
I think it's weird. You do have to be rude at some point, but I believe this. Even though you're in that environment, at some point you have to draw the line in the sand and identify what team you're on. You know what I mean? And that's a very upfront statement to make. But you have to say at that point, like, you know what I mean, we're on two different teams, and it's weird, but you have to say that.
Why am I letting you into my space and you won't let me into yours?
You're letting me into your space, right? Because you wanted to interview me. However, the stuff that you promote and the stuff that I promote are different. Right, and that has to be said, and you have to, like, I see your face, but that's weird because it's true, right? Now, and then you should also let them know who's making up those numbers. Like, you want to know, like, for instance, you're saying, all right, you know, you want me on your show because of the numbers, right? But who makes up a lot of those numbers? A lot of Christians make up those numbers, and outside of the Christians who don't make up that numbers are people who are thinking about converting.
This is a hard problem. Let's boil it down because I hear people's biases kicking in, whether you like what Reach is doing or you don't. The point is, if I'm making a song and it's to help people get saved, that's in my mind. I made that song for that reason. I'm a minister, not because I want to educate other Christians. I want to find people who are not Christians. If that's my goal, how do I get my content to them? You get it to them. This is what they figured out. You get it to them by being very impressive without them, until they see your numbers, and then they say, hey, you must be doing something right. Let me find out what you're doing. But at that moment, the reason they care about you is because they want access to all these people you just gathered. Just like every advertiser, Pepsi wants access to your audience. Coke wants access. Beats headphones wants access to your audience. What do you do when you get to that point and you need their audience, but you're basically telling them, give me yours and you can't have mine? How does this work?
I personally feel that if I was in that situation, obviously, yes, advertisements, they want your fan base. That's a given. But as a representation of Jesus Christ and a believer and a Christian, we have an obligation to that first. Regardless of what they want. If we're putting the lines in, we have to represent him the proper way regardless. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. It's not about the fan base. It's not about the performance. It's not about what you can gain through the music. It's the platform that the Lord has put you on, that has put you in front of these people, regardless if they're coming at you, you know, like demons or devils trying to get what you have. You still have an obligation, I believe, to represent him. So if Andy Mineo is put in the position, it sounds like he's backtracks a little bit, maybe, that he's kind of scared. He's worked so hard to get there. Who wouldn't be? But he has to deal with that on a personal level with his conviction with God, and you know what I'm saying. But we as believers ourselves, yeah, we would love for him to stand up for that and see that.
But is this an unwinnable fight? Like if you see these as, let's say, these media entities, like This Is 50, BET, Sway, these are cities. Let's think of them as cities. Yeah. How do you get into their city without dealing with some of these rules of their city? If their city is off limits to you, how are you ever going to reach those people?
But Sean, we've handled most of this already, and hear me out, follow me, right? You said that for instance, if Andy Mineo goes on the show, like this is 50, right? And so, we want access to their audience, they want access to our audience, right? So that's the exchange that's happening. That exchange has already happened because I'm here for the interview, right? All my fans,
They're already watching.
All my fans are already going to be watching, right? So anybody, like any Andy Mineo fan, right? We want to see him on the Breakfast Club. We want to see him in all these places. So we're going to watch those interviews on YouTube when they pop up.
But you know
so
the difference? You know the difference? I think they feel more comfortable saying, hey, check me out on this secular outlet than they do with, hey, go follow my man so-and-so.
Now, is my man so-and-so a okay dude?
No.
Right? If my man so-and-so is not an okay dude, I'm probably not going to say that.
Right, but that's what they want you to say.
But okay.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, but the exchange that they want to happen is they want accessibility. They want, those people to be able to see their, what their show provides. They want to, get those people in, see my personalities, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. They get that just because of the interview. There's nothing else that needs to be happening. I don't have to further promote it.
You need to
because
draw the
you
line.
won't further promote it.
So you need to draw the line and say, hey, the most you're going to get out of me is my fans may watch this interview.
Right.
But that's about it.
But here's the thing.
But is that too much?
No. That's not too much.
It's not too much.
Right? No.
Pointing people to this is 50. Look, here, this is what people are afraid of. They're afraid that, hey, you do a song with a secular artist. You do a line for line. You mention some artist. You do a remake of Hotline Bling. You whatever. What we're afraid of is little Susie, Christian little Susie, is gonna see you on those outlets, and then they're gonna see you on the Breakfast Club, and then they're gonna say, oh look, there's Tyga, there's so and so, there's Drake. Let me see what those videos are about. Then they're gonna go start listening to Drake's music. Then they're gonna go have sex with Billy. That's what they're afraid of. Am I wrong?
So Susie having sex with Billy is what we're trying to avoid.
That's what people are afraid of. They're afraid that you're opening a door to something that they shouldn't even see. Isn't that what people's fear is?
But I think the thing is this, man. Like, at the end of the day, if people knew what certain people stood for, then this wouldn't be a really question. Because at the end of the day, Andy could have really played it off like, man, like, I got some people and I'll rock with at my church. They may see this, and I don't know following you. If you got some girls up there going crazy, I don't know. Like, stuff like playing it off and make it funny.
And that's kind of what he did. That's kind of what he did, but I don't think people are satisfied with that.
I mean, at the end of the day, then that goes back to the people pleasing. Like, are you gonna say, hey man, I have to worry about certain people, or do you say, you know what, man, honestly, I'm about this. But you got to be about something. I think the problem is with people is they're feeling like he's not saying I'm about this. He's skating around the edges and the corners and stuff like that, and he's not saying, well, I'm about this, and put his flag down like, yo, this is what I'm about. I think that's what the problem people are having with it.
Here's what's happening. Is he and I have no idea what's going on, but is he saying I'm skating around these things because if I don't, this city would be off limits to all of us?
And honestly, we got to be okay if the city is off limits to us.
Is that the answer?
We got to be okay with that.
So is that the answer? We're basically saying this whole territory belongs to the devil. We can't even touch this.
No, we're not saying that. We're saying if this is what we're saying. We're saying this. If I go to a town and they accept the gospel, they accept everything, great. If they don't,
but not the town.
No,
the gatekeeper at the town. We can't even get in the town.
That's what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day,
we dust our feet off. We dust the feet.
Yeah.
We dust the feet off after we talk to the townspeople.
Right.
But we're talking to the security guards at the gate.
Okay.
Well, what do we do with them?
So
because they not even hearing what's going on.
I think the gatekeepers are looking at the numbers. Like, that's what the gatekeepers look at. They looking at, okay, this guy is selling 30,000. He's selling units. Bring him in.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
when you in, then that's when you say what you're about.
Yeah, exactly.
But the problem is we're in, and people kind of figuring out like.
But they don't. This is why I think they're still doing it. I don't agree with this, but this is why I think they're still doing it. They don't feel in yet.
Probably don't.
They think they're still walking through the turnstile.
Yeah.
And that's why they're. I feel that they think they need to, like, mum's the word. And I think in their brain, they think once we get in here, then we'll do what we want to do. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thought process. And that's what's dangerous about the thought process is because they're the only ones standing there. We don't know what it feels like to be standing at the gate.
We don't.
What do you do when you get there?
Can I kind of flip it real quick and ask from, I want to kind of get off of Andy and talk more so about the fans as a whole. CHH fans are the most fickle fans that I know.
That's true.
And so what happens is a lot of times they want their artists to only be at a certain level, the level that they knew them, because especially with the way how media is now, when they find